Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Travis Told. You remember the last episode I said, I don't know if another one's happening. I think so, but I don't know for sure. Man, did it get cemented today. You know it's going to be a fiery watch or a fiery cast. I read watch when I was supposed to go on there. Fiery cast when you already got comments in the chat when you haven't even gone live yet. But yes, I am Travis, your host of Welcome to Travis Told You, where this is just I want to say streamlined, but sometimes not very streamlined of my thoughts. It's literally you are diving into the brain of Travis Snail. At times when I've had to, twist or turn or, I think you tell in GeekVerse, there's many times where I'm talking, I still want to throw to people, still want their opinions. Of course, I love talking with my GeekVerse brethren and sister, and I guess when Jessica's on and stuff like that. But there's sometimes that I just want to go, and I feel bad because it's like, I don't want to just talk for 20 minutes. I want to throw over and everything like that. So that's what Travis Told You is. It's my thoughts on the news, reviews, trailers, stuff like that, right? Check out, I did a fun episode yesterday, very fun episode. Excited to see some of you guys in the chat again. Very fun episode. Evening to you, Christopher Evans. Yes, nice to see you. Nice to see you, Derpy Gaming. We'll read your comments and everything like that in a second. I see S Bubs and stuff. But yeah, thank you to everyone that's joined, and it's fun. And yeah, so as usual, we got lots going on. Tomorrow, the Avatar review will be coming out. Well, okay, I guess Friday, but it'll be recording tomorrow. That should be a fun one with the guys. I'm excited to listen to that once I get to watch the movie, catch up on a lot of other movies. I'll see Avatar next week, but yeah, and you'll get my thoughts at some point, of course, or follow my letterbox where join the Discord you can find there. I guess I promote on Twitter now, but yeah, I'm going to get the links out of the way because we got lots to cover here. Everything is down below, links, audio, our podcast network, our podcast feeds, all the separate ones. There's a bunch of side quests out right now. We did the MCU Golden Geeks, which a lot of good feedback. I haven't posted the polls yet because there's a lot of controversy and stuff like that. Derpy, right? You're somewhere else, right? I'm seeing Avatar today at 7:25. Yay. I originally was planning to see it very early. I was like going to see the first showing in Kelowna and then Daughter's Dance or something gone the way, which again, not a bad thing. I'd rather go to that. I will probably enjoy it more, but still I don't actually have FOMO. Like it just like I've always been curious about Avatar, but I've said before, like my curiosity is what it does. And now I'm a little less curious because it's opening at 500 million, like what we talked about yesterday, like 500 million maybe. So it's like, so off to a good start at least. To me, the more entertaining story would have been like if it just flat out bombed and like what do they do with Avatar 3? As I've said before, to me the most important weeks are 3 and 4. 2 is Christmas, lots of people will be seeing and stuff, but I still want to see it. I'm still curious. I'm a consumer of film, so I will see it to have opinion. And I still like past the first Avatar. It's just not my bag, but I'm excited for everyone else to see it. But yeah, I don't really have FOMO on that one. I've been watching a lot of stuff this week. But yeah, everything you know is down below. Head over to Patreon. I misspoke yesterday and posted it. The Me One Watch Along is having 2 p.m. on Sunday, not 12. I screwed up. We're having a great week. But check out that Patreon. You can join and call in and watch the Mean One with us, a watch along, which will be tons of fun. You can send in questions, get early exclusive episodes, tons of good stuff like that. Manscaped, 20% off, free worldwide shipping. Use that GV podcast code GVPOD to get all those perks, Christmas gifts, Boxing Day, stuff like that. Gonna be good. And yeah, everything you do, liking, subscribing, join the Patreon, you support us, and the more you support us, you put back in the show. 2023 is going to be our biggest year yet because we have so much content. Can't wait to reveal our slate. James Gunn's talking about slates and stuff like that. But yeah, we got a good one. I don't know what it's gonna be like. I think it'll be a slate that makes people happy, unlike what happened today, perhaps. So yeah, everything you need to know is down below. Just go there. So let's get into it. If you're clicking on this, you know why I'm doing this. And I'm happy to do this because as we talked about yesterday, the Avatar review will come out and the feed will be quiet for a few days because we just let big reviews sit there and, people will get a chance. They don't want to miss them, stuff like that, or we don't want them to miss them. So I'm happy this happened on Wednesday. God forbid something happens tomorrow and then I'll squeeze a Travis Told You before Avatar so it doesn't interrupt with the feed. But yeah, and like I said, everybody talking about the DC stuff in the chat, I will get to. I'll just kind of give an opening just in case someone's living under a rock or they don't know and stuff like that. I will start with SBub says, just finished rewatching Scream 4. I liked it a lot more a second time. Wes Craven was so ahead of his time, even in 2011. Yeah, we will. You know what, SBubs? I'll save that because we're going to talk about Scream in a little bit. So, but yeah, I think you already know how I feel on some. I want to do a Scream retro. Both the last Scream and this Scream, they always just come in bad spots where we already have stuff planned. Luckily, I think they're going to do a Scream 7 and like the last one, no one reviewed but me. So maybe there'll be a time where I could. So I want to with the geeks and stuff like that. And I'm a massive Scream fan, even though my what is it, I screwed, I can't remember what I did, but like Woodsboro, like what is, see, I think I screwed up now. I will always say this, being a big fan does not mean you need to, yeah, Woodsboro, and I think I just called it Woodsboro or something. I misspoke on the review a bunch of stuff, and someone's just like, how could you honestly call yourself a massive Scream fan if you don't even pronounce Woodsboro right? Whatever it is, like, I love Scream. Go check out the review. So we'll talk about that in a bit. So the big news, I'm going to talk about some trailers we got, Adam Driver trailers, Scream, some other ones. I'm going to talk about some great news about the Batman, and then we're going to start off with not so great news, great news. It all depends who you ask, because this has been the hot button topic, and there's so many angles to this, right? Like, how's it going to happen? Is this a foregone conclusion they are rebooting DC, says Arn? Well, that's a good segue, and I'm going to answer your question, Aaron. Anyone in the chat, if you say something, I will come back and stuff like that. So Gal leaves tomorrow. Yeah, like the thing is, if Gal did leave tomorrow, I don't think I'd do an emergency cast, because I feel like I kind of covered that a couple days ago with Patty Jenkins and stuff. Like, and it's happening. Let's just get into this. So today at what, like 6 p.m., I'm fucking cooking dinner. I'm watching, like, if people don't know, they wouldn't. Wednesday is like my relaxed day. I usually make something easy for dinner, Emily does, and I watch wrestling. Raw and SmackDown I watch as well, but those are sometimes I don't usually watch them live, because we always have stuff going on Mondays, and Fridays is tough. So I usually watch them on a replay, or I watch some highlights, what people say. But I'm still I'm a big WWE fan, but AEW I still like watching live. I still think it's that show that has a foam of like, you don't want to miss it, right? That's my relaxed time. This news decides to pop off in such a weird way. So I'm going to tell you how the, example, I'm not sure how everyone else found out about it, but I saw that thanks to Chris and Clay in our GOA chat. They posted it, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I really couldn't, because of the way it was done, when it was done, stuff like that. But take us back to last week. THR report comes out, pandemonium. James Gunn gives a big tweet thread, and then reports are, hey, the meeting is next week. And I agreed with, I think it was on Vodka Stream with Dave, when he was like, oh, I don't know if we're going to hear anything next week. And I thought that too. Even though I did say, like, last night, okay, if somebody does put something out, if there's like 10 people in a meeting, they'll know who did it, right? But I didn't think massive stuff would come, like, meeting that's going to happen. And there's been like smaller scoopers, but I think, like, whatever you think about him, sometimes he has not the greatest record with being like great with fans, but like Umberto, he tweeted something like, I love when a plan comes together. There was a GIF, right? And then there were several other scoopers, which you don't know if they just based it off his tweet or if they got information, that all made it sound like the meeting went well. And even today, it was like they have their slate locked, and it's going to happen next year and stuff like that. And James Gunn even brought that up, right? So let me just pull out my phone, because I want to read it verbatim what he said. You've probably already seen it, but just in case, maybe you're waking up. Maybe you went, because even then, like, it was what, 9, 8? I've had those times where maybe you go to bed and you're tired, like, I'm just gonna fall asleep, wake up in the morning, it's gonna be another day, can't wait to see Henry Cavill back as Superman. Well, things can change pretty rapidly. Life moves pretty fast if you don't pay attention. So here is the statement. Why did I put my phone over there? I don't know, I couldn't even see it. This is from James Gunn, 5:49 p.m. PST. Peter and I have a slate ready to go, DC slate, I should say, ready to go, which we couldn't be more over the moon about. We'll be able to share some exciting information about our first projects at the beginning of the new year. So stop right there. That to me makes sense, because people would always say, like, it's going to be Comic-Con, it's going to be Comic-Con. No fucking way. I would never bought into that, because that's way too long. And we'll get into why. There's a reason I thought that didn't make any sense to me, especially with what the news is today. It makes a lot of sense, and why people are like, why are they announced it now? I am in the mind frame of, let me pause that. To me, begin the slate, I hope that they do a fandom. That would be great, or whatever they want to rename it. That would be great. But the thing is, you have to get into production, right? You have to get going. So that's why it's like, if you were telling me they're going to wait till July to announce this stuff, of course, there's going to be some stuff they could announce that we wouldn't hear, but at the end of the day, stuff would leak out. And maybe I'll just kind of jump to this right now quickly. I'm going to say this first blurb, then I'm going to come back to it, okay? Among those on the slate is Superman. In the initial stages, our story will be focusing on an early part of Superman's life, which is weird, because it says, among those slate is Superman. In the initial stages, our story. Okay, in the initial stage, I thought it was like in the initial stage, like, oh, they're planning. I'm like, poor guys, give Henry Cavill the boot. They don't even know what they're doing. But no, it's in the initial stages of their planning, their first plans. Okay, just I read it wrong. Our story will be focusing on an earlier part of Superman's life, so the character will not be played by Henry Cavill. But we just had a great meeting with Henry, and we're big fans, and we talk about a number of exciting possibilities to work together in the future. We're gonna come back to this thing about Cavill, because I think that's a bunch of bullshit. So anyways, and the chat is very, and I'll read off some quick chats here and stuff like that, because I don't want to go too far down and stuff like that, because that's been the biggest thing is to take away, right? They are doing a reboot. They didn't say reboot, but it's a reboot of Superman. They didn't say, oh, we're doing a prequel to Henry Cavill's Superman, which you couldn't, but let's say we're doing a prequel and then we'll catch up with Henry. No, they're doing a new Superman, aka a reboot. Maybe they don't want to say reboot. Maybe they're saving that for when they say, hey, we're rebooting everything. Or maybe they just want to just avoid that word because it has some bad connotations of like the old regime sucked. We want to do this. And even if the old regime sucked, you want to just kind of play ball. Even though there's some things like we'll get into it. There's some things where I'm like, man, obviously there's some not great stuff with Toby Emmerich and Walter Hamada, especially with the suicide or the Justice League situation, Ray Fisher. Like that does suck. And that's where it's a tough situation. But there's stuff where we'll have to see what happens, but there's stuff where it's like, man, I was kind of preferring the route we were going before. But we'll get to that in a second. Derpy says they did it. I'm excited and optimistic about the future. James Gunn is the boss. He continues, fellows. So James Gunn film with focus around young Clark Kent being a reporter of Metropolis. Only thing that gives me Max Fleischer cartoons, Golden Age Superman. I'm all for it. Derpy, he didn't say any of that. He did say young Superman, but he didn't say reporter or anything like that. Don't get too ahead of yourself. Don't get too excited. I think you're right, but I'm just saying and stuff like that. Let's see. And also, if James Gunn makes DC similar to MCU, I'm not mad at this point because we finally have someone in charge that understands the character at DC as a whole. I hope so. Like, I have to, Feige, I say that confidently now because we've seen it, right? We've only seen him do two things, and it's been two weirder, lesser known characters. That's why I was always, and this is the other news that came in, that he is writing the script, right? He confirmed that. There's some other stuff he confirmed. He did not say there's a director in place right now. Throw out what the window he said before. Remember when he was like, hey, I like covering just the... I actually did not think he would write or direct. Maybe I didn't. I don't know if I clarified with write. Direct, I didn't. I thought he'd give that off to somebody else. But the point of people saying it was never going to happen, I was never on board with that because he would always say, as a director, oh, I like covering these smaller characters because I can do what I want. People don't get mad yet. That's the thing where you have to now. I've said this before, some sort of it's a broken record, but you're the president of DC Studios. You are in charge of all the DC characters when it comes to live action movies, and he says TV shows, video games, animation, right? No matter, you're never just gonna be like, I'm gonna touch these characters, and Peter, you take care of that. You take care of Superman. You take care of Wonder Woman. No, like, I guess you could do that, but I don't think Zaslav would have hired James Gunn, the creative of mine, to not touch any of the Trinity or the big characters, right? So I never bought that. So that doesn't surprise me now in this situation. I think it was the time where it was, hey, people saying, oh, he would write or direct when he wasn't the president. Like, no, I don't think that's going to happen. But now it's kind of like, and now he's writing. I don't have a problem with that. I like James Gunn as a writer. I like the things he's done. I think he knows. I don't think he's going to bring the Peacemaker, Suicide Squad, Guardians of the Galaxy type of humor to Superman. If he does, I think that would be disappointing. And I would feel sorry for the mega Superman fans, but I don't think that's going to happen. Maybe an odd, weird side character, sure, but I, for some reason, don't think he's going to be directing it, but who knows? Is a foregone conclusion they're going to be rebooting. Or, like I said, we will bring that up in a second there. I think this is the best way to move forward, Kayla says, is a reboot. Superman Mike says, so since the new big plan is being made after Flash's filming, I guess it won't reset, people thought, just ending to the Snyderverse. Yeah, I think it's difficult with that, right? Because it was the reset. Okay, we don't know. We didn't see it, but I think it was going to be the reset. The same way people kind of thought like, oh, Keaton won't be the DCU Batman. It's like, no, I think he was going to be the DCU Batman, like how they reported like a Nick Fury type stuff like that. I think that's the way it was going to happen. It's just now it's changed and it is just kind of an ending to that universe. It sucks. It should be switched around that it's that ends in an Aquaman that comes out later on, and we'll kind of get into the idea of like, oh, why should they be seeing this stuff? I don't know. And then Christopher Evans says he previously declined Superman job before Suicide Squad. Kind of wonder what changed. I'm guessing because now he can do whatever he wants. Yeah, I think that, and it honestly just might be like a Zazoff has, and I will give not him credit, but just people are right about like the idea of he's been hitting the Trinity hard, but he's been hitting Superman hard. Even if he's wrong about, oh, it came out 13 years ago. We joke around the numbers. He's hit the Superman thing hard about Superman, Superman, Superman. Why has there not been a Superman movie? I think this clearly shows that this is going to be the first movie of the DCU slate. And I'm going to get to that in a second of why they did this, even though I thought, I don't know why they would be doing that. I think that Zazoff really wants it, and what better way to kind of ensure trust in the guy picking you, paying you to say, hey, not only are we going to give you a Superman movie, I'm going to write it. Like, I'm going to take extra good care of this character that you, and maybe he himself as well, Gunn and Saffron, feel deserves to be spotlight, big screen, should be the main head honcho, right? So I think that's what it has to do with. It's more like a pressure cooker situation, and maybe he does have, like, he just likes Superman, in general. And like you said, maybe it is Christopher. He feels like he can do whatever now, where before there was like some sort of push and pull. He says, yeah, I'm with you. Likely going to be a starting pillar. I think so. It's funny that we're kind of starting again with Superman. Like that happened in 2013. But at the same time, that happened in 2013. In a year, it'll be 10 years from now, which is going to be sad when we get to that anniversary. But I'm going to take a drink because we lots of rambling here. So, H2O. Water's the best. So this comes out, and then I guess what I'll go before I get into the next statement here. Well, I'll answer Lance here. Let's see. Lennox W. Gunn has to do a hard reboot with new actors because general audience will never give the give DC a chance if they keep seeing the same actors, same roles. They'll think of the same old DCU, and that's. Bubs has a question like that too, and we'll get to that because that's where all these variables come in of like the should you or should you not, stuff like that. Let's see. Look at my comments, Derpy. I'll try. Let's see here. It goes fast. Honestly, in my opinion, James Gunn is a character that feels like DC Comics feels like DC as the comics aspect, which is why I'm optimistic, and for him to be the DC own Kevin Feige, I hope so. And then Lennox again, a hard reboot will also clean slate for a zero confusion direction of DCU and put the end of Snyder speculation, which we'll get to again. So. This happened. This comes out now. Before we get to Cavill's statement and stuff like that, you took the tweet away. There it is. So he says, our projects at the beginning of the new year. So there was two minds that I had here, right? And I talked about this on Vodka Stream where I said I was of two minds because I kind of corrected myself or second guessed myself because I said, okay, you don't want to say anything about a potential reboot till after this next set of movies. Shazam, Flash, Aquaman, Blue Beetle, right? You want to get those out, feel people confident, they'll go see it, oh, this is all connected, and then you move forward, then you maybe reboot, right? Because you don't want to make people, and I've already seen that sentiment. Why should I go see these films? Why should I care? This continuity is going to be dead. And if you feel that way, sure. For me, I'm like, I've said this before, I'm a Marvel DC fan. I will see anything Marvel DC. Like, I haven't skipped anything Marvel DC. Gosh, I don't know when, because like I'm a hardcore fan. I think many of you are. I'm a kid that wanted to see this stuff all the time as a kid. I will see them until the inevitable. Oh, they'll die off like the westerns. Sure, because there could be a time where in 20 years we're not getting these superhero films like we are now. And be like, man, I really wish I missed that era, right? So that's why I'm soaking up while I can. And we could just be starting. I know, and I hate because people talk like, oh, well, DC needs a reboot because they've had struggles, and MCU's doing the retinkering because they've had struggles. And I know I'm maybe hearing say I'm biased, especially some people on Twitter did not like some of my tweets today about King Kevin. I'll get in that later, which I'm just always having fun on Twitter. But the MCU is in trouble. If people like the Batman, are fans of Batman, that's like a $700 million movie, right? Black Panther is passing that. Thor: Love and Thunder did that. Doctor Strange vs. Multiverse Madness, nearly $1 billion film. Sure, you can say quality-wise. And I feel like that's what people flay with. That's fine. If you think quality-wise, that's sure. But people, when they say it's in trouble, it's not like fucking getting negative reviews and it's bomb. Like, no, MCU's fine. They got a big slate ahead of them. Multiverse stuff's going to pop off. And DC, will they be fine? I don't know. That's what we're going to find out right now. But My point in saying, hey, you don't want to show your hand before the slate's out, as we were talking, I said, although the problem is, if you want to get going, if you want to start moving, because let's say you play the slate out, right? And you weren't to go into production of anything till 2023 at the end of it. That's a whole year. You're going to wait a whole year and just write and get ideas and talk about things and then shoot everything in 2024 and then release in 2025 and then get bottlenecked again. No, like, I guess there's a version where you could make 2024 just hey, just Joker. They did that in 18 or 19? It was 18 with Aquaman, right? Just Aquaman. But that was for a lot of different reasons. I just don't see them. I don't see them doing that. I really don't, because they want, like, James Gunn, they're talking about his 10-year plan, but he also just has a 4-year contract. Now, I think he could resign, but in those 4 years, you don't want to be like fucking J.J. Abrams just sitting around saying, yeah, I'm still working on stuff. You want to be actually doing some things, So I think that's why I started to come around to the idea, because I've seen that sentiment so much of why announce it now? Why announce it? 2 reasons. One, I don't think they wanted to leak. And I think everyone talks about they want transparency with DC, right? They've had so many years of secrets and trades and non-answers. We're fucking getting it. They literally both said, Cavill and him said that they met today. Today! They met today. They met within the 24 hours and we're getting this news. If that's not transparent at all, that's more transparent than Marvel. Now, is there an argument that's too transparent? Maybe. But still, we're getting that answer. And it is putting out there before big trades have to come out. Because I think, like, people are already hearing about the meeting and people would have heard about this Cavill thing. So if you had the choice, what would you rather do? Get out in front and announce it and say, hey, Cavill's not coming back and this is why? Or would you want the trades to come pick it up? And sure, you could do the quote tweet of like, hey, yeah, we're this isn't, or this is true. We're very happy. Like, to me, it's giving him, like, it sounds really bad, like a mini send off, not really a send off, but just like we had a great meeting and he's a great guy and can't wait to do more. Which I did, because I saw Gunn's tweets first and then I saw Cavill's Instagram post. And when I saw Gunn's third tweet, which was but we just had a great meeting with Henry. We're big fans, and we talked about a number of exciting possibilities to work together in the future. I said in the GOA, I said, Cavill's done. That's it. The only way you'll see Cavill is in a No Way Home multiverse type of situation, in my opinion. Or hey, we're going to do an animated movie to close out the Snyderverse, which I think could be possible with Gunn, and I think people would accept that if it's that or nothing. They should just accept it, and we'll talk about the Snyder stuff too, that they gotta accept this now. I have always said this before. The Snyder Cut was a massive achievement. Snyder Cut is a history-making move that should have never happened. Might never happen again. A combination of fan situation and COVID. Be happy that happened. Be happy you have that movie. I'm not trying to say that condescendingly. It's just like there's a very huge possibility, like in many multiverses, you did not get that movie and it just ended there, right? With Justice League, and that was it. So I still think you won the war. You won the battle, and maybe that's us. I mean, you won the battle, but maybe not the war. But so point number 1 was they want to get ahead of it. Okay, they did that. Point number 2 is what I was already alluding, is they want to start making movies, and you can't do that so let's say they go, we want to put out a Superman movie in 2024. Great, let's do it. And let's say pre-production starts, and writing, and directors, and set locations, and all this stuff. And then actors and casting. And eventually you'd be like, how come they've said a Superman movie is coming out in 2024 and they've not said shit all about Henry Cavill starring in it, right? We would pick up on that. And I think that's what Gunn's trying to do, where instead of the trade saying, hey, this is what's going on in DC, just being silent, everyone trying to figure out, like the Ben Affleck Keaton situation, right? Like, what the fuck's going on with these two? And eventually it's like, oh, well, it's a time travel and all this stuff. Like, the trades gave us that, but eventually they came out and they confirmed and said these things, and they were very cagey about Affleck's future and stuff like that. This is not being cagey. This is like, hey, you're going to hear rumors about maybe additional writers, directors, actors. The reason you're hearing that is because we're doing a new Superman movie. Not this kind of backdoor, like, oh, like you could see the headlines already, right? Cavill with DC, but they're trying to look for a replacement behind his back. No, they're not doing it behind his back. Unfortunately, they've said, hey, we're going a different route. Just like to Patty Jenkins, hey, because you look at Patty's statement, and to me, it's very similar to James Gunn one yesterday. Patty's statement, I didn't walk away. I was willing to make changes. I was willing to get into the fold. And like we said, maybe could be true, could be not. He didn't shoot that down. And to me, the narrative of they turned Cavill away and now they've turned Patty away, that fits to me as far as a, hey, we are pretty much going the reboot route. I know people say, oh, it might be a soft reboot, this, that. The only way it's, I guess, soft technically is if they keep Peacemaker and Harley Quinn around, which is like, will feel very, like, to me, I'll feel a little meh about that. If, as much as I love Margot and I want to keep her, if like they reboot the entire DCU and they just keep Margot, it's like, or keep like Peacemaker and his wife, it's like, I don't know, because we'll talk about the Superman film in a second, but he specifically stated, hey, it's not a reboot, it's not an origin story, it's just early Clark Kent. I will be interested when I see that film, if I see anything where I goes, this couldn't be reworked at all to be Henry Cavill. No, it's because they want to reboot. And that's the same thing. We would have heard these rumors, but now this is instead of people scurrying around and trying to figure out what's going on, it's you're hearing these rumors of a new actor, you're hearing these rumors of a director and a set, a plot, everything, because we're doing a new Superman movie. So very disappointing as far as that goes. So I'm going to take my first ad break and then we'll be right back. We're going to talk more about this because we're going to talk about Cavill's statement, everything like that. So we will be right back. And we're back. So I'll try to catch with the chat a little bit. This was not me trying to be like send in your super chats. Legitimately, if you want something really red, send in a super chat, because now like the chat's completely gone all the way up. So I'll try to scroll back as much as I can, but that's why I always say, like, once it's going, I try my best. But I think I've covered those, the hard reboot stuff like that. Okay, it says it's funny how people are reacting like Superman's dead when characters come first and then the actor second. Well, and that's the thing where it's tough because I've seen that so many times, right? Oh, and I'm a fan of Clay's. Clay, I'm fine with the reboot. Oh, I know Clay. All Clay says is, I told you about the reboot and stuff like that, which, sure, you did. You had a 50-50 shot, so you got it. Because I definitely did not think that. I thought as I've always said before, the Days of Future Past reboot, where it was a in the middle. Nah, I think this is a solid one. James Gunn's still not using that word, but I wonder if he's just not using it to, like, try to not be dirty with something. I don't know, not like his tweets way. Just, I mean, like, some people look at that as a bad word. I think he's trying to lightly get people associated to the idea. So I find the reboot. Only thing is, I'm honestly concerned about Batman actor, Green Lantern on Slate, and DTF characters getting their time in the limelight. Well, I don't know why you're concerned about the Batman actor. I really do, especially someone that's sick as Batman. When you want them to be like waiting and stuff like that. Gunn has already said Green Lantern is like, he has plans for him, priorities, right? So I'm not worried about that. And D to F characters getting their time in the limelight. I don't know if you mean too much or too little. Like I said, time will tell. I think it's going to be like a good balance of stuff, but we'll see. Yes, it's funny how people react. Oh, right, how Superman is dead, like the characters. Because here's the thing. There's one group of people, which 100% are, here's a nice way to put it. They weren't DC fans. They were Zack Snyder fans, or they're fans of Zack Snyder's DC, and they're tied to that. Now, there's some people that might have saw it and went, oh, I love this whole DC thing now, and I'm a fan. But there's tons of people that are, even if they don't want to admit it, they're just fans of Zack Snyder's DC. Anything else is meh. And that's fine, but just admit it. Admit your bias. Come out and say, yeah, I just like this guy's vision, and that's it. So that's one. And I do get being disappointed, okay? And that's one thing where, like, I was not trying to, because Ray, who's been on our charity stream, and I want vodka stream, he took exception to it, and then another Twitter follower of mine did, as far as I tweet out something about, now that Cavill's free, King Kevin's gonna get him, and they didn't like that. Use King Kevin and thought I was poking the bear. And I actually, when I sent the tweet, wasn't even mean to like poke the bear. Sometimes I am, but that wasn't I just genuinely mean like, yeah, I want Cavill in the MCU. I think he'd be great in multitude of roles. I think that he's a smart guy to pick up. And people like Ray, like quote when I said King Kevin, I always call him King Kevin. Like, if you talk about Kevin Feige getting his breakfast, and I'll call him King Kevin. And like Stu took exception. He was like, oh, like, I just don't want people using stuff like this to promote pettiness with fans and sore winners. I'm sorry. Like, and I said this to them, and I have no problem. And Ray and Stu, I don't know. Ray, Ray's a good guy. Me and Casey, we love to bust his balls. Ray's generally a good guy. He gets very fired up on Twitter sometimes. Sometimes there's lots of quote tweets and everything like that. But like I that's why I like talking to him more on vodka stream, because I think my cadence can be better. I think he always like sees my tweets and thinks like I'm so dead serious. But his idea was like, oh, it's like Cal's not even at the ambulance yet. It's like that's where I am, where it does suck and it is a bummer, and I'll have that bummer feeling with a lot of other characters in the future and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, they are just, as Ben Affleck says in fucking Jay and Silent Bob, they're fictional characters. I think that's it. Someone's gonna roast me if it's not that. Like I love Cavill and I want Cavill to stick around. And if you ask me, I would have rather have had it the soft reboot and try it out. I completely get from box office and like person wise why James Gunn would just want to start over, clean slate. One, as a creative, just be like, I want to do exactly what I want to do and not be beholden to the past. And two, just because for fans, for like people talked about getting a clean slate with the actors, it might just be the best bet. Be like, what's this? Now you go, this is day one, new movie, go, right? So I get why some people are upset, but just like I tweeted to Ray and stuff like that in the conversation, I was just like, it's not that serious. It's not real life. It's fiction. It's movies. I don't like when Stu was like, oh yeah, you got to worry about like you're feeding the pettiness of fans. It's like, I don't think about that at all anymore. And maybe it's just because like I got 2 jobs, I got 3 kids, but I feel like I left the DC Marvel Wars like 2006, 2007. It was like when I put in my card of like, I don't care about people like the sore winner thing, because it's just like I don't follow those people. And one of the examples given, like, I was called this name and yet it's like, well, if someone called you a name about like, I think he used example that someone called him like a slut or something like that, which I don't mean to laugh. It's like weird insult. If someone resorts to that in an argument, their opinion all like right away is gone, like, and that's why I think some people are still in these battles, and that's why it's just like, me seeing the King Kevin thing is like being the like, oh, look at the MCU, we're so great. I'm just having fun on Twitter. I like to have fun on Twitter. Other than when a crisis happens or news updates like an election, Twitter should just be for fun. So I think sometimes people get a little worked up, and it's probably this news happens and then they'd step back and go, okay, whatever, it's fine. But for me, it's like, I'm not concerned at all. I don't give a fuck at all about this, what it means like the Marvel versus DC war. Why? Anytime I refer to that, it's in a fun way. It's talk like sports talk. Some people take it way too serious, and when they talk about like trialism, stuff like that, which Ray does a lot, I don't give a shit about that stuff. They're fictional things. Like, it's fun to talk and debate about this stuff. At least my group of people, it's like that stuff. And same thing with caring about Cavill. It's just that they were really attached to that adaptation, and I get it. So that's why too, if you saw a tweet, I'm not trying to belittle, I'm just having fun. It does suck. I want him to stick around. I want him to at least get a Superman movie. It sucks, it really does. And maybe let's go through a couple of these comments and then we'll bring up his statement here. Let's see. Aquaman 2, I feel will do well regardless, because Momo brings in the GA and people don't care about continuity. Yeah, there's some people that will see that and won't even know about any of this stuff, right? About a reboot and everything. They'll know like 5 years later when they're like, Jason Momoa's gone? Oh, that sucks. Lennox says, if the new Superman movie is anything like Man of Tomorrow, the DC will be fine. We might even get Momoa as Lobo. You have to, and that's the difference of DC fans, right? I like Man of Tomorrow. I know a whole bunch of people that do not like Man of Tomorrow. So it's funny if you're referring to the animated film. So I'm with you, Lennox. I liked it enough. I haven't gone back, but that's where the divide is. I've seen that with the Discord or GV1. I've seen that online, where I definitely, my Twitter following skews a little bit nowadays more to some big Snyder fans, so there's a lot of disappointment. I'm even disappointed. I'm down to see what the plan is, and I've said this already, where if you were to ask me just on paper so far, like this idea that there was going to be a Batman Beyond movie and like Pfeiffer coming back, and like we were doing hey, we're going to do DC EU films and we're going to do the standalone films, and Cavill's coming back, like so far, the old plan versus what we're getting now, I was definitely more interested in the old plan. Take out whatever you want to with the people. I'm not talking about the personal stuff, just the plan, right? Just art, business. I was more for the, and stuff like what we got of like Birds of Prey and things like that. Like, I was a fan of Joker 2, the Batman, stuff like that. Now also we'll get to some Batman news that helped with this kind of assertion that I'm having. But like already off the bat of like, we lost Batman Beyond, rumored, which I do believe now with this. And we lost from Pfeiffer, which was 2 kicks in nuts. And now Cavill, that's another one from here. It's like, oh, damn, so it's like, that's why it's like, I'm open to the plan. Like I said in my tweet, but this plan better be good because we're losing a lot of good stuff. And sure, you could bring Cavill back and you could do all the stuff down the road, but it's just like to have the continuity just reboot. Okay, and now it's time to put up a shut up, because if you were to continue on and it fails, people go, oh, well, it's failing because he's had a rough start and the footing wasn't good and it was tough for him to try to save what happened with the old DCU, whatever you feel about it, right? Now, if he reboots and it doesn't go well, now it's on James Gunn. And now it's going to be like the Leo, like, we really did have it all. Do I agree with that? No. I think DCU definitely had some problems, had some issues that should have been fixed earlier on. But alas, here we are. And I get that point, too, of why you want to reboot. So it's very mixed. And when I kind of get out of my timeline bubble, it's very mixed. And I think that's the thing where I've said this before, a reboot, it can excite people because now we're going to get all these actors and directors and this vision and stuff like that. It's going to be an exciting time. The aftermath and After Effect, that's when it'll be, okay, is this going to be an exciting time or not, right? So let's see here. Christopher Evans. I think the cards are on the table. Gunn is building a shared universe, going with the younger Clark Kent, who isn't Cavill. There's no way anyone else stays, in my opinion. No way else anyone stays? Like I said, I kind of hope you're right, because I think I've said this before. It's like, if you reboot. I was talking about some Fucker stream. Do it all. To me, a full reboot is everybody. So as much as I like Margot as Harley Quinn, and I would, I guess, break my own rules and say keep her, like I said, we'll feel a little weird if like everyone gets rebooted. But it's like, oh, but I kept Margot because we're friends. It's like, all right. Unless you're going to say like, hey, we're going to do like a Margot Harley Quinn film, but it's outside continuity. That's fine. The same way there's like rumors of the JJ Tanahashi Coates Superman movie still happening. If, to me, and that's another thing, if they didn't want to do Gunn Superman, JJ Superman, and Cavill got the low end of the stick, that sucks for just like this JJ movie that's probably never going to happen. But I don't know why they're still doing the JJ movie, because if we're doing the Superman movie, what now? Why are we doing another one? But if it is hey, this is the outside canon, like we've said before, sure, I'm all for that. I hope that is still intact. We got Joker 2, the Batman, if this J.J. Abrams Superman happens. I hope to get some, because he hasn't really answered that yet. I want that clarification. Are we going to get like a solo Black Label, or even if it's not that, just something by itself? I want that confirmation. Haven't gone yet. We'll see. So Peacemaker is so obscure they can just ignore him and recast Cena as Captain Atom or Major Force. And I don't know how much other than Momoa with the casting I already want to see, but replace Gal Gadot at this point. Says Crush, don't worry, it's gonna happen. King Kevin, yes, hashtag King Kevin. Look at all the stuff. The Cavill Doom dream is still, or Cavill's Doom is still the dream. I'm like I said, my dream's still Wolverine, but I take Doom as well. Be good. Oh, I'm sure he's already been replaced. Sorry, I'm sure she's already been replaced. Oh, you're talking about Gal Gadot there, Derpy. James Gunn just has a legit plan, doesn't and stick to formula, so there isn't another reboot. This year's Comic-Con got more interesting. Absolutely. Now, when I said they're going to do the full slate at Comic-Con, no, I didn't think that, but it's going to be more interesting now. And I wonder what Feige is going to bring to kind of like, now you did a big slate, or is it going to be like last year where Marvel's going to have a presence, but DC is going to be throwing like the big dick and stuff like that. What is Man Tomorrow? If Letix is referring to the anime movie, go look it up. They started like a new chain of animated movies, and that was the first one. I quite enjoyed it. I go back and forth on the art style and stuff like that, but I liked it enough. It is more of the hopeful. If people don't want that, if people don't want the like hopeful Superman and stuff like that, well, sorry, buckle up. That's what's gonna happen. The same thing is like, I think the Trunks are coming back, whether you like that or not. Like I think that's, to me, what Gunn is going to go with in this reboot. And let's see here. 2022 was what got me out of the fandom war stuff. It's useless to engage with people if you're not going to change what they think, especially about fictional characters and stories. Exactly, SSS Bubs. And then to follow up on that point, I never understood Marvel versus DC tribalism. They're so similar. Everyone crosses one way to another. Actors, writers, directors. Yeah, and that's the thing where it's just, I think we've all had that, right? Where you're defending your brand, stuff like that. And I think that's where I got to a tipping point in the BVS era, because it was just eventually, if I was just like, you're just going to like what you like. Now you get to people where you can have more similar conversations. Those are the people you keep around. But it's stuff where it's just like, I think it's just, why am I arguing about this? Like, why am I talking about this with some random person that's I'm never going to associate with, like if they're a jerk and everything like that, right? Like, so It's not anything for me. So the reboot, let's get into that as far as, let me pull Cavill's statement here. Oh, thank you, Ronak. He just commented on my post, so proud of the Cavill statement. So Gunn goes, oh, we had a great meeting, great stuff. Yeah, okay. Cavill's post, and this was my thing where I said, oh, he's done, and then just based off that post, or even though he's saying great meme, like the verbiage felt off, and then Cavill comes in with, to me, a much different type of post. Not a bad post, but just different. I've just had a meeting with James Gunn, Peter Safran, and it's sad news, everyone. I will, after all, not be returning as Superman. After being told by the studio to announce my return back in October, prior to their hire, the news isn't the easiest, but that's life. The change of the guard is something that happens. I respect that. James and Peter have a universe to build. I wish them all... I wish them and all involved with the new universe the best of luck and the happiest of fortunes. For those who have been through my sides through the years, we can mourn for a bit, but we must remember Superman is still around. Everything he stands for still exists. The examples he sets for one of us are still there. My turn to wear the cape has passed, but what Superman stands for never will. It's been a fun ride with you all, onwards and upwards. And you got to say from that point, just on the Cavill of it all, like I said, I want him to stick around. I like Man of Steel. I don't love it, so I just want him to be in like I won't say a better Superman movie, but one that I preferred. What a bummer. And I don't know where you go as far as like, it sucks because is it on him? Is it on his agent? Is it on The Rock? All these things, right? But you go through, he hasn't played the character since 2016. Yeah, Justice came out in 2017. The Snyder Cut came out last year, but that he didn't record any new footage, right? So it's been 2016, been what? Yeah, 9 years now. So that happens, and then Black Adam, Rock's been trying to get the go. They film a cameo, and he gets the go-ahead, right? And we've heard all these rumors that they're looking at writers, stuff like that, do Man of Steel 2, and then Gunn, Safran hire, and everything changed. Not so much of, I know people say, oh, he should have to fire his agent. There is an argument to that of, like, he held out for so long, and if he didn't get, like, a big contract and he came back for it, does it make him and his agent look a little bad? Yeah, but I don't want to focus on that part because it's just that sucks. I just want to focus on with Cavill. It is a bummer. It's a bummer, and especially for people when we're talking about what like Payless was saying, we're on the regular side of stuff. For people, I like Cavill Superman a lot, but there's people that absolutely love him, and that's what got them in the DC maybe. It sucks that like he was back for... Well, I think the count was 52 days. Like the cameo happened, the post is everything like that, and it sucks for him. Like taking up business, everything about that. Like and to me, I genuinely believe because I was talking about those Taylors. Go, it's just a paycheck. To me, you can tell with certain actors when it is a paycheck and when they care about the character. I think he genuinely cared about the character. Sure, he wanted to be paid what he's worth, but he genuinely cared about the character. And the fact that he was back, told to announce it, they're working probably with writers, talking about pitches and stuff like that. And then it's just, you get a meeting day and it's just over. Man, that sucks. That really sucks. And I feel bad for the dude. He's going to be fine. That's why I tweeted out my Marvel thing. He's going to be in all of these other movies. And I hope he does get some fucking great franchise because now he's gone from Witcher. So it just really sucks. He's a super talented dude. And I don't know. That's why I want Fight again because it's like he should be in a franchise. He's marketable. He has a good look. I don't want to hear anybody, great actor as well, do the whole like, oh, well, Black Adam didn't do the greatest. It doesn't matter. The Rock was talking about him versus Superman. He wasn't on the promotion. He wasn't advertised. That wasn't a thing. It was an end credit surprise. And then the next week, people didn't go see it because Black Adam was meh, in my opinion, right? So let's see. As Bub says, well, I guess in Gunn's eyes, that might be a good meeting, but that's not good for Cavill. Yeah, and that's where it's just like the phrase, and that's where it's like, it's tough, right? Because like I don't want to do the whole like against James Gunn or this and that, but we had a great meeting with Henry, and we're big fans. We talked about a number of exciting possibilities to work together in the future. It's just like, what did you talk about? Like if you would have announced and said, hey, we're doing this young Superman, but eventually Cavill's going to come back and we're going to have him in this movie or this movie. It's like, if you'd said, but we have plans to still use Cavill, stay tuned. Then be like, great, I'm taking you for your word. But just a good meeting and exciting possibilities, that could mean anything. And to me, it just felt like kind of bullshit. And that's where looking back at that Patty comment yesterday, it's like, was that bullshit too? Like, was that a nice way? Because some people have said that about, right? And I'm not going to jump on that bandwagon yet. But it's just like, that is also the bad thing about doing this social media stuff is like you can't find the cadence, right? And that's where there's pros and cons to it as far as him debunking things and saying things and stuff like that. So right now, Superman reboot's happening, gonna be focusing on younger. And I said this because I think more of the trades started to talk about this. I said this to him, like, it's not going to be an origin. They're going to do exactly what the Batman. He's been 1 year in, and blah, blah, blah. Because I love the Batman. Don't get me wrong. Might be my favorite comic book movie of all time. Might be the best one. Might be my favorite movie, because Dark Knight was. And I haven't decided which one I like more. I sometimes lean towards the Batman just because like it's a movie that was just right in my head and stuff like that. And I've still not done the infamous like Dark Knight, the Batman doubleheader. I want to, but I'm saving like a special night to do that when there's no kids around. I can just focus on these two movies, stuff like that. But I've always said I was not a fan of going back to the year one Batman or year two Batman. I like the film we got. Well, sorry. I love the film. I'm excited to see where we go. I've accepted it. I move on. I'm not going to dwell on it. Why? It's like the people that still dwell on fucking, he needs to be like, why is he not fantastical? Why is he not fighting comic book films? It sucks. Okay, if you don't like that he's not fighting like Mr. Freeze or Killer Croc, get out. Go read comics. Go read Batman or go watch Batman the Animated Series. This is the take until it changes. This is the take. The same way as like, I didn't like the idea of a year one Batman. I pissed and moaned about for a little bit, and then I got over it. So it's the same thing of like, I would have preferred what we got in BVS of like an established Batman that's been around for a while. Same thing, even if Cavill said, hey, I didn't want to do it. I'd like just establish Superman and we go. To me, this is going to be very much like the Batman, where it's going to be like not an origin, but it is an origin. You don't get the full Krypton explaining this and that, but it's very early on. He's meeting a lot of characters early on, or like the relationships are very new and not exactly formed and stuff like that. So that's what I feel we're going to get. And I don't know. Sure. Like, I will go see it. The director for me is key. Casting, I guess, can also be key. I'm going to bring up Patreon question. Please, everybody in the chat that's watching right now, hit me with who you want as a fan cast. Let me, even if it's multiple options, love, because Maddie asked me the question, and I'm not like blank, but I don't have like, I'm not like, boom, boom, boom. It's not like firing off of like, who do I want? Because I don't want to go with the generic, well, let's get a newcomer, even though I think that's the way they will go, and I think it's probably the way they should go, because everyone said that, right? About, hey, it fucking sucks for the next guy. And yeah, but like, whatever. Like, it'll suck for a certain portion. Here's before we get in the fan cast, and still put them in the chat, because you guys, the comments are always delayed from the video. The thing is, this does, to me, kill, like, the Snyderverse. I actually do think there's a chance of animated stuff, things like that. But even you look at James Gunn saying the Ayer cut, he is announcing stuff, but he's also being very middle of the road. Like, I feel like even that statement of some of it's true, some of it's not, either he knows or he learned from producers and Feige, he can speak PR very, very well. And I think that him even saying stuff with the Ayer cut, the Jenkins, even with Cavill, it's like, it feels good, but when you really look into it, it's like S-Pub said, why is it a great meeting? Like, you're telling this guy, one, you're not going to play the character you love, and two, on a financial point, you're probably missing out on millions of dollars, So it's like, how is that it's weird phrasing, right? But it's very pure. Like, we had a great meeting. I love this guy. Great time. That's fine. That's what you got to do. He's the fucking CEO. I don't hate on him for that. So the thing is with the Snyderverse, and this is why a lot of fans on that section are probably pissed, because to me this is signaled the end of it. It's done, as Cavill said in BVS, bury it. Once these movies come out, it's over, unless they do something where they say, hey, we will do a pocket of these movies. If they're animated or live action, it's a separate universe, sure. But, and even then, like, I feel like that's probably be more animated, but that's where it's like, if you're gonna reboot, it would be like I wouldn't mind if, like, hey, we're gonna let Zach, this wouldn't happen, finish his movies and then back to the DCU, but that's not gonna. Gunn doesn't want to do that. He wants to do his own thing, and that's fine with me, because I get it. You're the fucking man of the plan. You're top of the food chain with Saffron. Do your thing. So that's where some people are mad, and I will say this, as always. And I saw this a lot today. I get you got to be mad. I don't think you got to, again, tweet at James Gunn and tell him, you fucking idiot, you bitch, this and that. Like, because I've seen it from people, like, not like mutuals, but it's like your mutual follows this person. And if I saw that, I'd instantly unfollow that person, because I don't want anything to do with that type of stuff. Because, again, fictional characters. This is the end of that. You have to accept it, and either you have to accept it, and you can love those stuff, but you have to accept it and then move on. Or you got to accept it, and I guess so. Here's the other thing: you got to accept it and embrace, or you got to accept it and move on. You can love what you have. Like I said, you got the fucking Snyder Cut. You have 3 Snyder films of DC, technically 4th Watchmen, all this good jazz and stuff like that. Super bad, Mike. What a hot take you have. I don't know if I can agree with you on that one. We're going to get to it in a second. My goodness. But the Snyderverse is going to be dead, in my opinion. Like, I guess, because to me, I will be even more pissed. I will respect Gunn more if it's, hey, we're rebooting and recast everything. Cool. If it's a soft reboot and we get a Justice League where it's like, hey, we got a new Batman, a new Cyborg, or sorry, like maybe not, I think they'll leave Cyborg for a while because that's tough for James Gunn to touch. But let's say we got a new Batman, a new Flash, and a new Superman, right? But then Momoa and Gal stay, or it's like Margot stays. That to me, I'll like James Gunn even less. If it's like, okay, you did a soft reboot, brought back some of the actors, and the story you wrote for Superman, you couldn't rework for Henry Cavill. That's where I'll just call bullshit and be like, why? You know, it doesn't make much sense. So, okay, for me, I'm assuming you're going hard. You're just recasting pretty much everything. And if they do that, and Superman is the phase 1 of DC, it's the Iron Man, that Snyderverse is dead. It's over. And there's part of me that I don't relish in it because like, oh yeah, because I know tons of people that love the Snyderverse and are sane fans. The people that are assholes, the people that have ruined it, the people that just bombard with everything Snyder, it's not as good as Snyder, and that will still happen. But those people, there is a little bit of like a fun, like finally fuck off. Like the people that are like toxic about it, it's like whatever you want. Like, and people, I will say, kind of overplay this a lot of James Gunn's friend with David Ayers and he's friends with Zack Snyder. It's like, yeah, but like, and people be like, this is our best shot. I believe that maybe about the air cut, but I never believed that he was going to like bring Zach back to direct stuff. Like it's, and I don't even think it's because people construe it like, well, he's not really that good of a friend of Zach. And you know, maybe he is just bullshitting, but to me, it's just more just, he's gone the ball. He's the coach now. He wants to call the plays. He doesn't want to call the plays that his other friend did. You know, he wants to call his plays, you know, like he wants to play his game. So Snyderverse seems like that's going to be over with and people can be sad and it sucks. I get it. But if you don't like it, move on. And you got to be fully out, not tweeting about, and of course you can tweet about it there and there, but like if it's like every film that comes out, every announcement, stuff like that, and you're just gleaming onto it, it's like, and I guarantee you if those people are tweeting about it all the time, then they're definitely going to be seeing these movies. Even if you torrent it, that still fucking counts. You can be like, I'm not supporting it. Doesn't matter. You're giving it your time and energy. You're giving it 2 hours out of your life to watch this movie that you're going to fucking hate. Get out of it. Be healthy. Don't do that. So that's why I think people need to accept that. And if you want to move on, great. That's fine. Sometimes you just got to give up on franchises. You just got to walk away from it. It's not like the biggest deal because I didn't grow up with, but like Walking Dead, right? Eventually at some point I went, you know what? Isn't for me anymore. And I wasn't tweeting about every fucking week being like, this show still sucks. We shouldn't have killed off these characters. You botched the Glenn thing. Like, imagine that. I'm sure it still happens, Walking Dead community. That Glenn moment in Walking Dead is known as like, you look at the ratings, right? Up, 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 up. And then it's kind of like stays for a little bit. And it's like goes up and down, up and down. And then the Glenn thing happens. A big spike. And then boosh and boosh. And it kept going down and down and down. If people don't know about Walking Dead and Glenn, who knows, but it's just like a big character death. Spoilers. I didn't like that. Watch the season, stop watching, and just imagine, because I just feel like only like Marvel, Star Wars, and DC fan bases do this, and maybe other ones do. Maybe they probably do. But just imagine if I stopped watching Walking Dead, but like every 3 months it'd be like, fucking, they really screwed up with this Glenn thing. They really did that. It's like, no, I just eventually stopped watching and I moved on and I left it. That's what you got to do. And if you're someone listening to this that I was really bummed and you don't want to leave it, but you're not going to like what's going to happen, just leave it for a bit. And the good thing is, DC, there's tons of comics. Go into the old stuff, rewatch the animated things, play the games. I know new stuff's always what you want. I understand, but still, got to move on with that and everything like that. So, as far as the, let me pull my emails here because there's, I think, Matt asked a question, but just to make sure I get it specifically, and you can go to Patreon and send in questions at any point. Oh God, we haven't even got into the Affleck thing. Fuck. Okay, well let's take an ad break, and then we'll be right back with Superman reboot stuff, fan cast, and some Affleck, and we got more Batman talk. We got lots of stuff to still talk about, so we'll be right back. All right, we're back. And when, like I said, you join Patreon, you get episodes ad-free, early exclusive, stuff like that. Especially next year, you want to jump on because there'll be a lot of stuff on there early that we're recording. So, Maddie's first question was some fan cast of yours for Superman. And like I said, Maddie, I saw Espo say like I'm not really good at fan cast. He meant like himself. I usually pride myself on fan cast because I feel like I got like a good barometer, like this actor in this role. And obviously, like my claim to fame was fucking like what 3 years before Moon Knight saying Oscar Isaac's perfect. He's the guy. Still think he's perfect. Just the writing is meh. I don't have anybody. I will say the one I don't like is the Austin Butler one, which people throw out just because I feel like anytime an actor gets popular, it's like they should be Superman. Like if they're a good looking white guy, like that is Superman. Put the curl on him. No, I'm still very much on the train that I want King Kevin to take him, and he should be Gambit. Butler as Gambit would be a like top 10 perfect combo casting. Some people say Oliver Queen. Sure, that'd be fine. So I'm going to go down to the list. And Lennox earlier, when we were talking about the Mandatory, he was referring to the anime film. So there's some clarification. Felix says the scary thing is, I understand Gunn debunked it, but Pattison looks young, so it could be part of the younger JL. We'll get to that, but I think that it is. I think if he's going to say that, Matt Reeves going to quote tweet it. There's meetings going on this week. I think it was you're doing your own thing right now. And we'll get to that in the slate here, but I think you don't got to worry, Clay. I think that is like if they've met with Affleck now, Jenkins, Cavill, Reeves probably got met with. I think it is safe. But like I said, we will talk about that. It's on HBO Max. It's pretty awesome, says Evan. So go watch Man of Tomorrow. Go check that out. So let's see here. If we get another young Batman, we may not see a Robin on screen for a long time. I just want to see the Bat family on screen. And Superman, Mike, yes, that's why I wanted an older Batman. I was fine with that. But I think we're going to have to wait a little long. The hope is, because I know so many people, I get the idea of like, Pattison's Batman is perfect for a Robin. No. Like, he doesn't have to be 40 or 50 to get a Robin, but he's still like, I don't want him to get a Robin in year 2. Like, it's just like, I don't know and I don't think that, to me, the way Reeves is building that trilogy feels like the same way Nolan did, where it's going to be a succinct journey about that Bruce, right? So I don't think there's time for Robin unless we got another trilogy on top of that. Batman in a DCU, though, and let's say Gunn is planning to have this to be like the MCU, I think eventually we could get there. So fingers crossed. I'd like if they made him a bit more older and not like, I don't know, the Batman, like animated show young, but we'll see. I suppose I've never been good at fan cast. I'll just let the other people do it and decide who I agree with. Sometimes I do, and that's why I honestly called it the Superman one, because it's like, I just want someone to say something, and then I go, right. And then, because the two people, Christopher Evans and Family Clay about Matt Bomber, I'm in 1,000,000,000% agreement. Never gonna happen because I think they'll go younger. But Matt Bomber, he just fucking looks like Superman, and he's a great actor. I'm a big fan of him. Obviously from Doom Patrol right now, but I love all the stuff he's done. American Horror Story. There's a show he did back in the day. Anyone in the chat, you get points. Did you watch a show called Traveler? It was him. It was shit. Who was the guy that everyone jokes that looks like Tom Hardy? He played like Shocker 1 in Spider-Man Homecoming. And then there's the other guy who played Pyro in X-Men. They're in the show called Traveling. They're a bunch of guys that were like hitchhiking across the world, and they get tied to like a terrorist attack, but they didn't do it. But then it turns out like the guy who played Pyro in X-Men's like a secret agent or something like that. That's why they're tied to this bomb threat. I don't know if anyone watched it. The season one ended on cliffhanger, got canceled. I fucking love Traveler. They used Boston, the song Boston in the trailers, and it got me so hyped. That was the first time I saw it. Loved that show. Mill McDuff was the bad guy, stuff like that. So it's a long shot, but Taron Egerton, he's also my pick for Wolverine though. So I would prefer him as Superman. I don't see the Wolverine thing. Evans, you're not alone. Tons of people see that. For me, it's a lot like the Krasinski thing, where I just go, nah, it's just not working for me. And the Egerton's good. I like him. I wouldn't think it's like the worst choice ever. Same thing as Krasinski. I just think like, well, one, Cavill is a better choice. But if they're even going younger for that, like there's something about it. But okay, Egerton's Superman. Let's see. There's always a chance that the Snyderverse could appear in a Crisis film, but it'd be so far down the line, it's not worth thinking about. Exactly, Lennox. And that's my pitch to people of like the way Gunn made it sound like we talk about possibilities. the way I'm thinking, if we ever see Cavill again, is either animated form or a No Way Home situation where it is specifically, hey, we're doing a movie where we're bringing back old characters to have some fun. I think that could happen, and I think Cavill will do it. And I think there's lots of hype when that'll happen, and there'll be lots of articles. So Snyderverse is back, but I think that it is dead for now. But I agree with you. That's what my expectations are. But that's like 10 years from now. It took what? 11 years to get to Toby and Andrew, which is actually not that bad from the MCU starting to now, and it got us Toby, Andrew, and Tom. Just funny, like Iron Man from Jon Favreau got us that, so I'm good to see. Superman Mike, this is the controversial one. I'd love to see KJ Appa as Archie from Reboot as Superman. He has a look. I can't. I think I just spent too much time watching Riverdale to agree with that. He has a look. He's a good-looking guy. His figure, like a distinguishable figure, and like, hey, he was gonna play a Wonder Twin, he lost on that. But no, I can't get on board with KG App just on like an acting ability. But you know what, Super Mike, you never know. People can get cast and really surprise you and stuff like that. So yeah, some stuff there. Let's see. I want to see Reverse Flash of the DCU. Yeah, maybe one day. I'm sure we will. Haha, I think I'm just getting ripped. I'm just thinking of ripped actors. That's fair. Even though I don't think Superman has to be ripped, it's good if he's ripped, but he's also a fucking alien and everything like that, right? Let him do the Elvis voice for Gambit 100%. So the biggest problem with continuing with the Snyder continuity is that he burned through tons of stories like Death of Superman, Jason Todd, Jimmy Olsen. Yeah, I agree. There's like pros and cons to that, but I agree that there was, if you follow what he was going to do, a 5-film plan, then I get it. That was the issue of like trying to build a universe off that, and it never seems like we got the answer of like when did that happen? Did he always pitch as a 5-film thing, or was that the idea he had? I've even like talked to like the vodka stream guys, and it seems like it's always unclear of like, was it the chicken and the egg? Because if he pitched it as 5 and then they said yeah, and then we're doing a whole universe, but okay, bad on them. But if Snyder was just like, oh, we'll do this and we'll do this, but I have this 5-film idea, but it's like, yeah, but we can do Cyborg. That's like, okay, once they had you introduce a slate, you would be like, hey, what's the deal with my 5-film plan? So let's see. Snyder Boys on Aspen. Oh boy, I shouldn't have shared that, Nazoku. Left for Egerton, I watched. Blackbird sold me. Yeah, I like him, so I wouldn't be opposed. Have you heard about the live action God of War show series coming? I have. I'm not gonna tell right now because I'm in DC, but I have, and Amazon's the right place to do it. Just don't let The Rock do it. That's all I'll say. I like The Rock, but still, So yeah, I can call out people's bad fan casts, but I can't choose my own good ones to counter them. So that's what I was gonna say. Like look at the chat, not too many in there, and I don't have one yet. I've not seen I know people like said the Butler one. I've not seen the boom, that's it. Because Gambit was that for me for a while, where I always said the only Gambit fan class, I thought Channing Tatum was like a good choice. Not like great, but I thought it was a good choice. My fan cast, like the person that was made for Gambit has gone. It's 90s Brad Pitt, but we don't have that. To me, once I saw Austin Butler and that fan cast, I was like, you know what? That is a perfect one. I've not seen that for Superman. I don't think Superman, hear me out, is the hardest character to play. I think you just need a good actor. To me, it's not like the Joker, or it's not like fucking Hannibal Lecter, where there's like all this lifting you have to do. It's not like a Deadpool. You just have to be a good actor. So like cry, emotion, happiness, joyful, scared, action. You just gotta be able to do those well. Superman has layered stuff, but I don't think he's such a bombastic character where it's like you need a thespian for Superman. You don't, because I don't think Cavill's a thespian either and stuff like that. So CGI Reeves is gonna haunt me until we see that casting. Obviously, I know you're joking. I don't think it's gonna happen. I think you will see that Reeves thing at some point. And that was the thing too. It's funny. A few weeks ago, we heard that Andy Muschietti was talking about. Or there was just rumors like he wanted to direct a Superman film and be in the vein of 78. Again, I think you're going to get in the vein of 78 here for this Superman movie. So, yeah, I think that's everything I have to say on this one. I guess I'll throw in the best choice as a new fella. Just breaking the acting names. God, I butchered that. Sorry, Chris. The best choice as a new fella. Just breaking into acting names. Harry Cavill, or maybe meant to say Henry Cavill, but Yeah, to me, that is the best choice. That is the boring answer. And I think I gave a boring answer to yesterday to a fan cast. But it's just like sometimes it's just, yeah, a newer actor established so you can see that is Superman. And you pay him less too, you know? So, mm, Jonathan, you might have hit me with that euphoric moment. Not to be a pun master, but he says my brother recommended Jacob Elordi from Euphoria, but I don't see it. Jonathan, your brother's a fucking genius. That is great. I'm stealing that. That is that is I see it 100%. He has the height for it. And because I guess I just see it because in Euphoria, I'm not sure if you've seen Euphoria, Jonathan. Let me know because if you haven't, the guy got fucking range. He plays like the jock bully, but he has tons of range. Man, that's a good one. I hate you because I'm not going to get that out of my head now. I'm fully on board with that one. There we go. I have my fan cast. There you go, Maddie. That would be mine. Reboot is the best option. Otherwise, every film will be, so when does Zach get back to Snyder Justice League 2? 100%. And this is a thing, and I'm going to bring up Espud's question because that kind of parallels into our last point about the reboot and stuff like that, and what I think is kind of all of this. Do you think the GA will care about possible recasts and resets in the DCU, or is the only thing they care about characters themselves that is, or slash that is a superhero film? Or that it's a superhero film. I think there's certain ones, right? But it's because that gets into the almost argument of the Tarantino thing, right? Of like actor versus character, and the character's a star. I think a lot of them they are. Because you look at something like Batfleck, he was there, but then they did the Batman and it almost made 800 million, which is very good. It was still just kind of coming off of COVID and stuff like that. New franchise. I think the characters are important, but I do think the pairing is still very important as well. I don't think Iron Man would have been as successful, or maybe the DC or the MCU wouldn't have been as successful if we didn't have Downey playing him. So that's where I always push back against Tarantino's. Yes, the character is important. The character gets you in the door. The actor makes you fall in love with the interpretation. Because if the actor and writing's not good, then people are going to come back for a sequel or see more. So that's where I feel like the recast, I think they will. I think it's going to be a bit of a bummer, like, oh, but people also know, like, fuck, like, Bond's done it. People know since the 60s, actors in a role, they go away, there's a new actor. It can suck. And I think it's also been proven too, and that's why I still think you could do like the Black Label stuff like that. Joker made $1 billion. Jared Leto was happening. Barry Keoghan happened later on, but still, I think Joker 2, I don't know if it'll make $1 billion, but it's going to be very successful. I promise you. It's going to break even. I'll at least say that. I'm saying there's at least $500 million for Joker 2. At least. They do care more about the characters, and they care about a good interpretation. So people will miss Gal 100%. Especially, I think Gal's the toughest one. I really do. Momoa not as much for some reason because he is the first live action Aquaman. But I just feel like because Momoa's Momoa, you don't miss him because he's gonna play not an exact type, but you're gonna get Momoa in as Momoa later. It's like Reynolds, right? Even then, I guess I'm like that's where it's tough because I think a lot of people could play Aquaman. I don't think many people could play Deadpool to the right amount Reynolds could, because why? Deadpool is just Ryan Reynolds. It's not a big stretch for him and stuff like that, right? So I think Momoa not as much. Gal to me is the biggest one. Batfleck, no, I feel like people have moved on. He's not been a full live action Batman in a while. Ezra, I don't think they'll care about. Sure, the movie's coming out, but they'll get over it. Same thing as, I'm sorry, Ray Fisher. If you're not on Twitter, I don't think people care. I think it's just, the guy played Cyborg. Not because anything against him. I think they just move on. And I get it that Momoa was the $1 billion one, but there's something about Gal with that film being so important and this female-led superhero, it doing very well, and she was the first live-action one. I think that is the most of, because Gal can be in the movies, but she's not going to be Wonder Woman again. There's a certain type of presence with that character. So I think that one's tough, but it's tough. And people get over it. The same way people loved Toby and they got over it. And, I guess they love Andrew. Same way people like Bale and they got over it. So I think it matters for like a little bit. I think it matters for a couple weeks in the promotion, stuff like that. But all it takes is one good trailer. Look at Pattison. There's so many fucking people that all they had seen was Twilight, and all they made the jokes about Sparkle, Batman, all this shit. And then that fucking trailer came out, and it turned almost everyone around, like normal people around, like, hey, I'm ready for a Batman movie. I'm ready to see Pattison do this. That's all it takes. People will be sad about Gal, sad about Henry. All it takes is good marketing and a good fan cast, and then the movie has to deliver, and they'll get over it. There'll be some suck, and there'll be some like, oh, I missed that person. But if they're fans, they want to go see it. I don't think there's anybody, I think Marvel has that. I think let's say Iron Man survived Endgame and they did Iron Man 4, it wasn't Downey, I think that would do less. People go, oh, it's not Downey, I don't need to see it. I don't think anybody has that effect in the DC universe right now for the general audience. For the GA, yes, but for the general audience, no. The closest I think is Gal, but I think they'll wait a little bit. But I think Gal's the closest. Like, oh, I really liked that last Wonder Woman. So Jake Sully is the star, not Sam Worthington. Who's Jake Sully? Let's see. Aaron says, what if he was secretly playing young Superman in Euphoria? What a fucking origin story. Nate. Woo. Let's see. Because, Jonathan, I know you. Let's see. I haven't seen it yet, but you can take credit for that one. A little bit of always true about you and your brother. But that's what I'd say is watch that show because he plays the bully. It's very graphic and very like sexual, and there's some hard stuff to deal with as far as like drug abuse and everything like that. But he gives that bully, he does the thing which is hard to do. He takes the most hated character in that show that you want to see get punched multiple times, and then there'll be moments where you care for him and you go, fuck, I shouldn't care for this piece of shit, but this guy's a good actor. So I'm completely on board. Let's see here. Let's be real, guys. No one ever really wants Zachary Levi, I should say. Everyone was just going around with it because Snyder Boys, RDJ, sporting a shaved head, Lex Luthor, fingers crossed. I wouldn't want RDJ for Lex Luthor. Maybe after Oppenheimer we'll see, but I think he's just shaved his head. Like, I think there's better choices, and I don't think he wants to do that either, but who knows. Momoa's established Aquaman in live action. I don't think they could go back to the blonde white guy after him. I think they'd have to. Superman might, because if you go and get another Momoa type, that's a fail. That's why I would say, like, when there was times people thought, oh, Ryan Reynolds might not be Deadpool again, you don't go after Ryan Reynolds type. You let that sit for a while, and you have to kind of change it up. To me, if they go for someone like a Momoa, people will just miss Momoa. That's the same reason why, and I understood with the look at the three last Batmans. Bale to Affleck to Pattison. Bale was the young one that grew up to be an older one. Affleck was the old bitter one. Pattison was back to year one. I understand, because right away you're doing something different. And that's just like a little degree of just the origin and the time frame. If you go and get like another badass looking tatted guy, that charm will not carry over. That's where I think people go, I really miss Momoa. Because if you're trying to do Momoa and you got discount Momoa, no, it's not going to work. So that's why I think you actually got to go the other route. I think you got to go get what's his name in The Boys. Clay says, yeah, I don't think you're going to get the deep and stuff like that. But I think that's like casting Liam Hemsworth as Geralt. Oh, wait, says Bub. It kind of is. And that's where, like, Superman, like, I get the idea of they can't go back, but I think you gotta, even at least if you can get a middle ground, sure. And I'm not saying he has to be a white guy, but at least you can't get like a surfer bro guy. I'll at least say that. You can't do that type of Momoa. You should do the more leader type, the more serious type. I think if you go surfer bro Momoa, that's a mistake. So let's see here. I think that's everything on this. Went longer than I thought. Usually it's almost half the show. So we're going to talk about some of this Batman stuff. So, but of course, any other questions, throw them in and everything like that. So also in this report, let's see here. So I'm on the fly, do myself. So also while this is all getting reporting, Variety had put out that Ben Affleck was in talks to direct a DC project. And then James Gunn was answering a bunch of stuff about the reboots and the origins, and then let me find this, but because this, just a fucking head scratcher type of day, folks. He comes out. Let's see. Let's see. Could Ben Affleck direct? He says, we met with Ben yesterday precisely because he wants to direct and we want him to direct. We just have to find the right project. No, your app didn't break. I just have no fucking idea what to say. I don't know what to think about Ben Affleck nowadays. Not as a person. It seems like a fine guy. He's made some mistakes in the past, but seems like a nice enough guy. He seems like a troubled soul. That's what I'd say about Ben Affleck. But he seems like a guy I'd like to hang out with and be cool. So last year, I think it was last year, he said he wanted nothing to do with big blockbuster films. He just wanted to do nothing, and people would say, "Oh, it's just about acting." But still, to me, it was overall. Like, it just sounded like he wanted to do more stuff like what was that movie? Shit, The Last Duel and stuff like that, right? Because that's when he was promoting it. And then he just started this production company with Matt Damon, which is going to be smaller films. It's going to be about making sure the talent gets paid well, of course, because they're talent, right? So make sure they get paid better, and like everything's divided up. I think it even extends to like crew and stuff like that. Okay, sure. And then now there's a report that he might direct a DC project. I don't know what to fucking tell you. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't know what this guy's deal is. I don't think he can decide what his deal is. I am not opposed because before, years ago, I have Facebook posts approved. It was right before the podcast started. But when everybody was fucking shitting on Ben Affleck as Batman, I said, this is a great idea. I said, one, I think he can make a good Batman. I thought it was a good change up from Bale. So like, I think he can at least make a good Batman. Two, which was the biggest thing, I want to see him direct. And at that time, the rumor was he was directing Justice League. Didn't happen. But it's like, that's more what I want. Him as starring as Batman, fine, cool. And he ended up being fantastic in the role. I have problems with the writing, but he's fantastic. Could have been the best Batman, but it didn't happen. He's fantastic. But before, I was like, even if he's just fine, to get him direct, that's where the fucking money is with Ben. That's what I want to see. Didn't happen. Goes away. Stuff like that. Obviously all the troubles happened, and then he said like he had a script and he was very happy with it. A friend said you can make this, but we'll just hurt your life, and he chose not to make it. Right move, smart move. Seems like he's happy, healthy. Hopefully that continues. But now they had a meet, and that's where it feels like what I was talking about earlier. They're meeting with everybody that has a project that's connected to DC right now. They're meeting or have met with. So Ben makes sure it makes sense why he's on the list, and he's also creative, and maybe he's at a different point in his life. What would he direct? I don't know, because I feel like Batman was his passion. I feel like that was the natural project. I think there would be something very funny if they did a DCU Batman and he directed it, but it was a new guy being Batman. I know people always go, "Oh, there's someone he direct the prequel of Batman or the prequel of his Ben Affleck." No, I don't think that. I would find it very interesting, and that's what Maddie also asked, like, what would he direct? I don't know, because I don't see him. He says he doesn't want to do the big blockbuster. And even then, you look at his filmography, there's nothing like that. The closest would be what? The Town? I'd say it's like a big blockbuster one. So I think it would be something low-key. I don't think it would be Batman, but I would love it. If you were telling me that, if you were to say, hey, so-and-so actor is going to be Batman, Ben's not doing it, but he still wants to direct, and he has a great script idea, and he uses some of his ideas in the last one. They kind of tweak that. Awesome. Great. I trust Ben Affleck. I'm bummed we didn't get to see it. What else? I don't know. Superman, I know people are saying that. There's just something that doesn't fit. Clay says give him Human Target. That would be very fun, but I think they're gonna give him something of at least a name. Like something even was like a Jonah Hex, like something that like has some sort of IP value behind it. Not saying Human Target doesn't, but like I don't think many people know what that is. But I don't know. This is something that, he says we intend or we'd like to happen. Is going to actually happen? I'm going to lean towards no right now. Want to happen, but it was just a very interesting tidbit of like, really? Ben Affleck directing a DC movie. After all this time, who would have thunk? We lose Cavill and we get Affleck. Jeez, let's see. And that's good. Says Ben wants to charge here films like Argo, which he did a great job with, but he's not meant for blockbusters. And I agree, but here's the other pitch too. What if it's something like a Joker, where it's not even Batman, but it's something like a character and it's a blacklist character study? That'd be great. Again, I'd like confirmation of just we're doing a solo out of continuity line. That's where Ben's going to be great. That was kind of weird because it's kind of this like, if we're rebooting, we're saying goodbye to Snyderverse actors, that potential continuity continuing. Then when Ben back, because right away everyone's like, it's Batfleck, he's doing Batfleck. So it's just like, out of all the news we've gotten the past 24, 48 hours, Jenkins, Cavill, Superman reboot, you think they're gonna say, yeah, we want you to direct a Batfleck movie. I don't buy that. I guess if you want that, maybe I get like, and I would want that. Sure, we get multiple Batmans, but Chris Evans says I think he's just tired of being burned and now he's feeling comfortable again for today. ... That's a good point. And Superman, like, this is a really good one. Green Arrow could be small enough one for him. That it's all I can think of. That's a really good choice. I think that's perfect right there. Superhero, someone that's like new as far as like the film wise goes, and I think you could make it gritty. You know what? That's you redeemed your KJ Apple one. You redeemed yourself, Mike. No, I'm just bugging you. But and yeah, Evans, he said he's comfortable again. That's the hope, but that's where it's just, Affleck, like, it seems like he's been out and in so many times. Can they lock him down for something? So as right now, I'm still gonna say that's not gonna happen. They probably just took a meeting, and whether it was because like even then, look at the way it's gone, right? To me, James Gunn maybe overblown how great that meeting went with Cavill, because Cavill lost a job in the character he wanted to play. So maybe Gunn's interpretation is like, yeah, we have so many ideas, and he wants to direct, and we want him to direct, and it's just great. But really, after like, oh yeah, like if something came up, I'd be interested. But like, we'll see. Like maybe it was very non-committal, right? So that's where it's just like, I think people need to slow the roll, because who knows? Do I want to happen? Sure. But do I think it's going to happen? No, that's my prediction right now. So let's see. I want Christopher McQuarrie's Green Arrow, but I wouldn't mind Ben taking a stab at it. Yeah, McQuarrie wouldn't be good. It wouldn't be bad either. Obviously, like, it's always tough for me to agree to something like that, because like I want him to do Superman, but now less so because Cavill's not doing it. And I feel like McQuarrie, I think that is gone, because he did say like they pitched that, and he said some experience with the fans he did not want. And also remember last year it announced like him and Cruise were doing like 3 films. It was like they're producing that space one, they're doing a musical, it was like they said like a crazy thriller or like psychological thriller, and then Les Grossman. So it was actually 4. So that's why I think like McQuarrie's in the busy Tom Cruise business and stuff like that. So not a bad choice, but I just don't think it's going to happen. Speaking of not going to happen, so as I take this, what was last time? Let's take an ad break. We'll take an ad break, and we'll talk about Pattison and Reeves and all that. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So this morning, Variety, which again, they put out the Ben Affleck thing, which ended up being true. And that's what you don't know. With Trey, like C tier and down, you really don't know. But even Trey's right now, there's stuff coming out that people are shooting down. It's wild, wild west out there with these rumors and stuff like that. And they're trying to get the clicks, take advantage. That's what you got to do. That's your job. But you got to look out, because Gunn's out there. He's headhunting, because he shot this one down quick, thankfully to me. Variety had put out that James Gunn and Safran were looking into options to include or possibly include Pattison into the DCU continuity. So that would be their Batman, right? That's been the big thing about, hey, who's going to be Batman? And I feel like now the update we're going to get now on Batman is similar to the one we got on Cavill. Is one day Gunn's just going to tweet, we're working on this project. It might be late. Like he a little bit like, we have it planned down the road because we want to let Matt finish his story. And then after that, as I pitched yesterday on the Jenkins one, I think the play here is do what George Miller was going to do. Just keep Batman on the JL for now. Big main or supporting character, but keep him on the JL for now. And then when Reeves is done or close to being done, do that separate film. Or if there's like years, like 3 or even like 2.5, like a good time between films, then sure. But I think that anyway, so that came out, and then Gunn said, this, writer's a nice guy, but this is completely untrue. And then Matt Reeves quote tweet said, I like the source on this one. Let's see. Espo says, what was your reaction during that short period of time when the Gunn report wasn't disproven? So yeah, take me back. I'll take you back. That came out like 6 a.m. my time or something like that. So I was asleep. So I woke up every morning. I wake up. This is not to like fucking brag. It's just because what I do. Like notifications for personal, notifications for podcasts. I have my personal, GeekVerse, Marvel Alliance, and G-Way. I have those accounts on my Twitter profile access. So out the yin yang. Today, dealing with 2 fucking sponsors, which is a good thing, but just like talking emails, trying to return a jacket. So my phone just is like lit up, because I feel like I also deal with so many Eastern people as well. I'm still asleep. So My reaction was not a positive one. I'm not a fan, like, because I've talked about this with Brent, because Brent would like that. And I've talked about this a few casts ago. I'm not completely opposed to the idea. If Pattison said, "Yeah, I really want to fucking be Batman and be in the Justice League," cool, sure, let's try it out. My only worry is because what I want is, and I'm Brent will fully disagree with this. I would love, um, for MCU. That's what I was excited about. What if? And they changed that. I would love it if they one time did. Hey, we're gonna do a Captain America movie at continuity. New actors playing Steve Rogers. It's gonna be a full on. Maybe just. I know we did World War II. I guess you want to do that, but something, right? Something where any character X, Y, and Z or Thor. We're gonna make a real. Almost like Kenneth Branagh, sort of Shakespearean, very like well done, over the top. Like I would love if we had solo stuff. Why? Because it doesn't, to me, necessarily hurt the brand. Like I like Venom, X-Men's still out there and Venom's still out there, and then MCU did fine, right? So I don't buy the whole like, sure, you don't want bad superhero movies, but I don't want the whole, hey, fucking these bad X-Men movies are taking down the MCU. No, we got Dark Phoenix, and what, like the year after we got like Endgame, the biggest movie of all time. So it's like I don't buy that argument of like the continuity. So I would love it if MCU did that. DC was doing that, so I would be fine if he's in there. My just worry is, like Wakanda Forever, we'd be getting the Batman, and then we need a 15 to 20 minute plot of Jimmy Olsen coming to Gotham and telling that Superman's in trouble. You know, I don't want that. I love the crossover connected stuff. I love the connected universe, but I don't want just everything to be that, even though I guess we're kind of getting that. And I just like the options. And that's where, to me, it's also good where someone like Clay's in the chat, he says, I can share a screenshot of GOA chat. Travis was freaking out. Yeah, I wasn't a fan because what I thought would happen if we went down that route, we'd probably lose Matt Reeves. And I don't want to lose Matt Reeves. As I said, and I spoke too soon because we lost Cavill, and I didn't want that, but I said, they can do anything with this DC reboot, whatever they want, just don't touch Reeves as Batman. And I might be getting that they're not touching it, but Cavill's gone and the reboot and stuff like that. But to me, why it's a good opportunity is someone like Clay or other people that don't like the Batman, you could have the Batman going on as that character, and then another Batman film or a Batman in the Justice League movies, and then you could have another Batman that you enjoy, right? That's where it's like, because to me, it's like, well, that's the way the biggest example I could say is people would always say like, oh, you don't want to be fucking, like Joker happens, right? And Jared Leto, all this stuff, and he was coming back, and people like, oh, because I had a notorious history of hating Jared Leto's Joker, and people like, oh fuck, look, Travis, he's come back for Snyder Cut, there could be more and stuff like that. And at that point, I'd say, I don't care. Why? Because I got Joker, and now I'm getting Joker too. But I didn't care because I had a different version of Joker. So people that liked Clown Hunka, they could enjoy him for what he was. When it was hey, this is a new MCU and Jared Leto's going to be our Joker for the next 10 years, that's when I was like, fuck this. And that's where I think multiple Batmans give an option for you, like viewers and stuff like that. So that's one. And two, I just wanted to stay solo. Even if we get some DCU films where this Superman movie is connected, but the film's primarily solo, great. Like, I love the MCU for the connective tissue. Don't get me wrong, but not every film has to need that on every project. I think like Black Panther 1, that helped it tremendously. The touchstones are very small to that. So I was not happy, but I was happy when Gunn came out and said, hey, it's not happening. And I know there's still think it could happen. Maybe. I really don't see this Batman fitting in that type of world right now. And yeah, you could change and do stuff. And he reason said that, like, I want to take the approach of Superman being like a little alien and coming down, and people might be like, oh, he did that with BVS. It's like, I guess I think they jumped over a lot of stuff, unfortunately, with Man of Steel and BVS. But I just thought we would lose Reeves, and I didn't want that, considering I think that Batman could be my favorite Batman movie, the best Batman movie. I guess I could just have to see my favorite movie because I've watched it so many times, and Dark Knight was my favorite movie. So if the Batman replaces Dark Knight, then instantly the Batman's my favorite movie, which is a weird thing to say when it came out this year because I've been alive for 29 years, but I digress, right? So I'm happy he disproved it. I'm happy. And to me, Matt Reeves saying that, like, I'm liking the source on that one, to me, that means the meeting has happened between those two and they're on the same wavelength, and Reeves is going to do his own thing. I don't know how long it's going to be, because to me, I thought, like, it seemed like Reeves was going to do these 3 movies and then have free range to do a bunch of shows. I don't know if that's going to happen anymore, because they might want to be like, hey, finish your trilogy so we can get a Batman in here, right? But I hope they just go with crossover Batman. I think that's good enough. Solo Batman that's a younger, in the whatever, and then sounds like Ben Affleck, but still, maybe a bit more grizzled Batman that can be a team leader, something like that. So let's look at some comments here. Let's see. Nasuku says X-Men MCU were decades apart. If the separate shit worked, DC wouldn't be rebooting. It's a fucking mess. Marvel up to Endgame was money. Well, I guess that's up to you. I've loved a lot of stuff post Endgame, so I'm not in that torture that some fans are. Like, I have tons of things I loved, and not what I mean. Not really. Dark Phoenix came out? What's the year in Dark Phoenix? I think that's like 2018, right, or something like that. 2019. That came out the same year as Endgame, right? So that's the idea of people saying like, well, we don't want to do a separate Joker film because if it sucks, it might hurt our DCU. Like, and I know it's the same character in that example, but to me, it's X-Men sucking is not going to bring down Marvel, like I was making the point earlier. And that's 2019, same year, right? I guess it maybe came out after, but still, even stuff like Apocalypse, to me, it's like, that didn't bring down the MCU. The MCU brings down the MCU, which I don't think has been brought down too much. Because since I like Dark Phoenix, you're not alone. I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but you're not alone. I'll say that. Zaz said, Zaz says there wasn't going to be 4 Batman. I guess he never said 2 Batman. Well, yeah, and that's where my pitch is too. If like, let's say they do the Marvel thing where they do a bunch of solo films, you could try to wait till Reeves is done and then do your DCU Batman, which I think is a possibility. They really should create a black label subcategory for the Batman Joker to make it official that they are out of any other continuity. I agree, but I think the only way we're going to get that is if it's going to continue. Because obviously those were greenlit and in production before Gunn, right? So I think like Superman, J.J. Abrams, even then that's kind of tough spot. If Gunn and Safran announce another project that's out of continuity, that's when I'd expect to go, okay, you're starting to do this more. What's the deal? So, and like I was saying before, because before the chat popped off, like some people still go, oh, maybe he's lying. The idea is to eventually get him in there. I guess I just hope it's done well. I understand like you could use the Batman as the new pillar. I don't really want that from that. And just to me, because like there's many comments that I like where sometimes in Batman comics I don't like when a Justice League member just pops up. Like, yeah, it's all right, but I just prefer this to be a solo Batman story. And that's why I want Reese's thing to like, continue just doing his thing for solo Batman films. Oscar says, I guess it's up to you. Marvel wasn't rebooting till phase 4. The Sony films were another studio. You're talking about everything being under one studio. I know, I get that. It's not like a apples to oranges or apples to apples comparison, but it's still the idea of, I think the GA they'll get over it and they'll just still go see what's good at the end of the day, like, or what's talked about and stuff like that, right? So I think that with DC, they're in a tough spot, but they could make some moves like that, and they could make a separate one, but who knows? Only time will tell and stuff like that. So yeah, Ben Affleck might be directing, Pattison. Who knows? Hopefully we're getting that sequel and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm going to probably transition over the trailers and stuff like that. So if there's any other questions you guys have about the reboot, DC, Batman, throw them in now because we'll be transitioning probably. But I'll throw in some answers there and stuff like that. But I think I've said everything. And for the people that are just joining now, go back. I've done an hour and a half of talking about all this stuff now. So, but yeah, so if there's any questions, throw them in. So let's get to these trailers here. We got a few. Let's talk about 65. I want to talk about 65 for a little bit, just meaning today now. But this is a movie that, if you don't want to be spoiled, I guess skip ahead. But this is a movie that Adam Driver, it's a sci-fi movie, where he lands on a planet and with a bunch of people, and there's like a little girl there or something like that, and it's a mystery of like what the fuck's going on here and stuff like that, right? And then it's called 65 because spoilers. He lands on a planet, very Planet of the Apes. He lands on a planet that's 65 million years in the past, and dinosaurs are alive or back alive, or it's just whatever it may be. So it was fun to watch Twitter react to this because I had heard someone say that Adam Driver had been doing a dinosaur adventure movie, and I just assumed that this was it. I didn't know the twist of the time travel aspect, but it was fun seeing Twitter like reacting like, oh my God, this is fucking super hype and stuff like that. This movie looks better than I thought. Visually, it looks good. I've been meaning to check this all day, who the director was, and I still haven't, but it's produced by Sam Raimi. That's always a good thing. as everyone knows, I think Adam Driver is the best. Scott Buck and Brian Woods. You got two directors there. I think Adam Driver is currently the best actor alive right now. I don't care. Throw whoever you want. Adam Driver knocks them all the fucking water. He's the man. So anything Adam Driver is in, I watch. This just looks stunning. It looks like a lot of fun. Like what I liked about it, the trailer looked very, very serious. Like that's what I loved about it. It's like a gimmicky sci-fi B-movie plot, but it looked serious. I saw someone compare it to Prometheus. It's not going to be that heady, but like I think that equivalent to the tone is about right. But let's see, Scott Beck. What else has he done? It's producers and writers of Quiet Place. Oh, they also wrote Haunt, which I liked. So I've directed 13 things. What are some of these things? Watch just be like fucking the shittiest shit. No, it's a lot of shorts. Okay, and they did direct Haunt, which I liked Haunt. It was a fun, like, they go into a carnival that's haunted and they're actually getting killed off and stuff like that. I saw someone call the trailer The First of Us. That's a good one. Past Meets Future. Pickens says that it looks hella good. Nosku says the movie looks good. Esp says, I've been wondering what this movie was for a long time. I had it on it just had been a blank poster on Letterboxd and it was produced by Sam Raimi. Yeah, like I said, I think it was actually when I was listening to a podcast when Roka Snyder kind of let it slip that he was working on some sort of dinosaur movie. And this was a few months ago. So I was like, okay, what the fuck is that? Now, it just looks good. Like, go watch the trailer. I'm very curious to see like what the runtime is. I'm curious to see what else they do with the story. I know other people say like, oh, they showed this twist. There could be more. I don't need more. Time travel movie with Adam Driver fighting fucking dinosaurs. I'm completely in. This is in my top 10, maybe not top 5, but top 10 for most anticipated. I cannot wait to see this movie, specifically Adam Driver. I think the plot would have been fun regardless, but Adam Driver really sells it. The only thing is that it was funny because S. Bubs brought this up, and I thought about this before he put in the Discord, just in general. I think this movie is going to eat shit at the box office. It's not going to, let me bring up March. I think it's coming out the same day as Scream, which I don't think has the same audience, but Scream will definitely win. And I just look at this as the type of movie that I feel like, not because this looks bad, I just feel like this is a type of movie. Hopefully it has a Quiet Place like reaction where the hype builds up. It's just like a smaller type of opening, but the word of mouth goes around and it builds and builds and people love it. And you get the second one. My worry is that this movie looks like a lot of other movies in the past that have been bad, but this looks like the good version of that. So it's going to be punished for that. But like March, let me hit you with this. Started from March 3rd. Creed 3, week after, 65 and then Scream 6. Week after, Shazam, Fear of the Gods. Week after, John Wick Chapter 4. Week after, Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves. I think Scream and John Wick, fine. They're going to make their budgets, their profits, everything, because they got the radar audience. Creed 3, I think, will do good. And that's where 65, I don't know. That's one I could see a lot of people skipping. Dungeons and Dragons is going to fucking eat it hard, too. I'm sorry. I will be... yeah, Superman Mike. Yeah, 100%. Good thing it's Scott Beck and not Scott Buck. He wrote the Shea Seasons Dexter. Yeah, my heart would have worried. He also show ran Iron Fist. But yeah, no, it's Scott Beck, thank goodness. So if it's 90 to 120 minutes, that's an instant classic or instant 10-10. I agree with you. 90 minutes might be the sweet spot. I think it's like a grip it and rip it. Don't take too long. That would help with the success of this movie. But I worry for 65 and what it's going to do. I worry like what the budget is. Chris Evans says, I'm seeing it, but yeah, D&D has zero chance. I think D&D is like, I actually don't think the movie looks bad. I feel like it looks like a medieval Guardians and I like the cast. So I will probably see it. We'll probably review it. But I just think that one looks like a movie that's been done a few times, been bad. And I also think like Dungeons and Dragons is bigger, but I still feel like for it to be a global phenomenon movie, I don't think it's at that point yet, So D&D is crying, is cringe waiting to happen. It could be, but it's a question of like, is it good cringe? Like, is it the stuff that you can enjoy? The so bad it's so good, or the cringe that they're kind of like in on it, or is it cringy where they think they're making this great movie and it's not? But I'll see it, I'll check it out. But yeah, that's coming out March 2, so 65. That looks phenomenal. As but says he didn't know anything about D&D, but the trailer looks great. Yeah, it looks fun. I just don't see people paying for the movie. I really don't, because what's up in the next week? You got And then, yeah, because the week after Dungeons and Dragon is Super Mario Bros. Family are saving their fucking money for Super Mario Bros. I'll tell you that. And then in April, look out. What else is in April? Luckily, not much. Evil Dead Rise, but that's not gonna worry. That's not gonna interfere with Mario's box office. After that was Scream 6's teaser. Not much to say here, other than, man, if you look out people have tweeted about, but the threads and stuff like that. In the trailer, there's teasers to Scream 4 characters. There's teasers to some other Weathers characters in Ready or Not, the team that directed this movie, directed that movie before. This just looks like it's going to be tons of fun. This idea of, I love the tagline, New York, new rules. I love this idea they're at like a Halloween party. There's a costume party. Bunch of costume people are on the bus. There's someone dressed as Ghostface to just stand up and look at them. Is it a trick? Is it a prank? I think it is, because that's the nice mask. And we've heard this rumor that the killer this go around is going to have like a dark kind of muddy, like old, worn and torn mask, which I absolutely love. And I even said this. I said this in our Discord before it came out. I said, wouldn't it be cool if it was an old Scream mask like one of the killers? And it's been kind of, I think, rumoredly leaked that it is. That I think it's not only that, there's like other things this killer is using from the past, like past evidence in his crimes. That sounds great. I'm all about the legacy. I know people are going to, and SBubs, let me know, because I feel like you've watched it more recently than me and anybody else. There's a guy, the guy that's the car kill in Scream 5. He's related to Stu, right? I think that's the case, because there's so many people, and this has been like said for years, right? More than Kirby being alive from Scream 4, which turned out to be real, but everyone just like says like, man, Stu must be. They released a photo of the mask. Yeah, they saw that. Yeah, I saw that now, but I mean like months ago or not, I guess even weeks ago when they were talking about that. But like when the evidence was coming, I was like, okay. Or before I came out, I was like, okay, that would be a really fun gimmick of an old Scream mask. I like the mask. I like how worn torn it is. And like I said, I think anything with a clean face is not the killer. But everybody and their mother always thinks Stu's coming back and always thinks Stu's the killer and all this jazz. Could these writers pull it off? Sure, because they've done some crazy stuff before, but I feel like that, to me, I thought the red herring was going to be, okay, spoilers for Scream 5, skip ahead 5 minutes. If our protagonist is Billy's daughter, and if our antagonist was a kid of Stu, that would be tons of fun. The best friends, kids going at it. But I feel like there was a person that was related to Stu in this last one, and they killed him off already. So that can't be it. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do. I think so far they're showing us the New York setting, and it looks great. So I'm, like I said, a big Scream fan. I love them all the same way. Like, yeah, with Stu's nephew, as Bob says. Yeah, so that's why I feel like they kind of blew their load there. I didn't really like that, especially with Stu, and that I wish that had a bit more fanfare. But I like them all. Like I was talking about earlier, where he rewatched Scream 4 and he liked it a bit more. I still like Scream 4. It's the weakest of the franchise, but I like them all. I think on Letterboxd, to put in that perspective, they all would be like a 3.5 and higher. I think Scream 1 would easily be like a 5. And yeah, it's varying degrees, but I think they're all great. Like, even like, I know S-Bubs, you're a huge lover of 3. I love 3 too. I think it's still like weaker than 1 and 2 and now 5, but I still love it. So very excited for this one. Another one coming out in January is Megan. So I had seen the first trailer. I wasn't on the cast to review it. And now I've watched this one. I liked the first trailer a lot. Didn't like this trailer. This trailer showed me what this movie is going to be. And that's fine, but I don't know if it's a movie I need to see in theaters. That's what's going to be. I might if it's slower and we're not reviewing much, because January is a bit slower. But still, to me, it looks like I've seen this movie done before. There's going to be some new variations. But really, not that I spoil it, but just like most of the time these movies don't have much shocking to them. You know, like once you've seen Chucky and a few of the sequels and a few other spinoffs, you've seen it all. And I didn't see anything new there. And I just thought the trailer was really edited as well. So the Megan one kind of undersold, like it undersold it for me. And I guess I'll answer Manny's question after I get through all the trailers and stuff like that. So I got to bring up this question on Patreon that he sent it for the last cast. So I said I would get to it. I will. The next one is Infinity Pool. So Infinity Pool and Al Starling and Megan, I hadn't watched these trailers because I thought they might be for a newscast, but news isn't happening right now because people are busy and stuff like that. So anyways, thought I review them. Infinity Pool. I'm out champs night. Thanks you for very much tuning in, sir. It's good to meet you and talk to you and stuff like that. Always come back. I'm usually here with friends and talk whatnot. This is just my solo show, but always come back. People want Jill to come back. I'd say she got about the same level of execution as Stu. Yeah, I don't want Jill. Like, what's the reason to bring Jill back? Like I guess that she could. I think without Sydney too, that doesn't really work. So I don't know. Yeah, that one work. I'd rather Stu be back than Jill, and Jill's like fine. But so Infinity Pool and Alistair, I had not watched the trailers. Infinity Pool, I don't know what to take from this. Where they go to some country, he breaks the law, and it's like by death, but he has to pay for like his body to be cloned. It was all over the place until I saw the director and it's Cronenberg's kid, and I went, this makes sense. And I haven't watched Cronenberg's kid. Apparently, did a film last year, the year before, maybe even this year, that apparently was really good and really like scary and creepy that I want to watch and I will watch. So I haven't. Got Mia Garth from there. Got Alexander Skarsgård, who I have like a more appreciation with after The Northman, because before I thought he was always like a fine actor. This looked weird, but like the problem was with the trailer, it just didn't make it look good to me. Like it just looked like a bunch of random stuff going on, a lot of high concept stuff that's hard to explain in a trailer. So it's one that if it gets good buzz, I will see it at home. And that's what Maggie's question was. Like, from all these, he'd like the trailers, but will I see any of them home? Megan, it's a 50-50. I'd say maybe 51 leaning no. In Infinity Pool, no, because I could just see this being a movie I easily dislike. It could be a movie I love, but I don't know if I want to risk going to the theater for it. And then the last trailer, Al Starling. This is interesting because it got relatively good reviews around TIFF and the festival circuit. It even says like TIFF selection, right? But it's coming out dead ass in January, which is usually where they dump movies that like they don't believe in. That's changed a little bit now, but still, it's just not like, as I remember Scream, I think last year was January, but that's like an exception to a rule. There's a few of them, but most of the time you dump them there. Oh, sorry. This is probably my favorite trailer out of the three, out of like the horror ones. It's pretty much seems like it's just like a woman is in an abusive relationship and trying to find the balance and get out of it. I don't know if it's a sexually abusive relationship, physically or just mentally. Looks like a combination of all of them, and that's what it is. It's like she's trying to lie to like just even go hang out with friends, and that can't do it. The guy shows up on their vacation, even though he's not supposed to be there. Looks like it could be something like The Gift, where there's some creep levels to it. That one, same thing. I don't need to see in theaters. I like Anna Kendrick a lot, and I like that she's doing this more serious take. And I thought this trailer was really good. I like some things in there. It's just not a movie I need to see right away, or I need to see in the theaters. And I said at the last show I told you, I would see all movies in theater if I had the time, but I don't. So I got to pick and choose. But I like the more serious turn. The guy they look like they casted for her like boyfriend husband looks very creepy. It looks like it's playing on realistic stuff, but also looks like it has maybe, I don't know, I can say fantastical, but horror-ish fantastical of like, is something else going on here, but I don't think it is. I think they're just using some sort of that editing to give it a little extra oomph. But yeah, so those are my thoughts, and that's my thoughts on all of it. I was not expecting to go this long. Should have known. It's DC stuff. There's gonna be lots to talk about. I'm excited to talk about it. Eventually, we'll do GeekVerse news. I'm thinking that'll happen sometime after Avatar next week, and get the boys' opinions. Because again, if you tune in the first time, this is just my solo show. I do GeekVerse with 3 to 4 other people. They're usually on all the reviews. We have a good time. It's a very friend-oriented network and stuff like that. So thank you to everyone that tuned in the chat, especially this late. It's 11:15 p.m. and I know that's the PST time, so I know Eastern is probably late. So thank you to everyone that tuned in that always does. Thank you to people that tuned in that are new. Really appreciate you. And hopefully we get some good DC news to come along. Hopefully this is the start of something good, and we'll be there covering it every step, and it will not be boring. See ya. Have a good night.